Welcome, everyone, to a little chat about stubborn weight and also prediabetes, because as we're heading into this zone, we are trying to get into a deeper layer. And specifically, I'm here with my great prop, this giant bag of sugar that I found in the back of the cupboard. And I'm pleased to say, as I was looking, how long has this been here? I'm almost embarrassed to say that I have it, but there's some sugar. We are going to be diving deep into blasting sugar, something that is so much at the root, and on two levels we're going to get to it. So blasting sugar is something that is going to help us with insulin resistance. So insulin resistance is what is tying us in to the deeper layer. If you've been in a place, you say, okay, isn't the game that we're playing, if we can call it that, good morning, hey, welcome, 14 hours fasting. So happy with that. Hey, happy for you. I hope you're feeling well. So nice to have you here. Dive in with me here on this topic. Blasting sugar, getting to insulin resistance, two levels. We're going to talk about, okay, sugar in the diet. Okay, this is something, as sugar comes in, sugar in the diet, sugar in the blood. Sugar is energy, and sugar is also a signal that is interacting with hormones in our body. And this is what is really difficult to get the mind around. In our society, we think so much just calories. This is like the calorie era. And calorie is very important. How much total energy is coming into the body? It is an equation that needs to be balanced. We're trying to create an environment in which more energy can flow out of the body than is flowing into it. I mean, that is true. Okay, and so all the thinking that we've been doing, atomic habits, about creating the environment and how do we interact with our environment. Okay, the big picture goal, creating an environment both outside the body and then inside the body in which we help the energy to flow out. And like that energy, the idea of an energy flow is like, that's the mountain is you, that's going big psychology. How do we create a flow through the obstacles? So we're like climbing the mountain, overcoming it. Okay. Blasting sugar, a huge thing. Now, I want to talk kind of to two people, right? People who have a lot of sugar in their diet and are trying to get rid of it, and then also people who don't. Because if we are stuck in a place, okay, stubborn weight, these are things that we should talk about blasting, okay? The first layer, okay, things that have sugar. Now, I didn't load up 100 images in here of sugary things, but we all know the things with sugar. So things with pure sugar in them, like Skittles and candy bars and all this sort of stuff, okay, we want to be making sure we're not missing ground balls. We're getting this out, like lots of the second layer, like cookies and things, okay, sugar in it, a lot of simple carbs, processed stuff. If you are stuck in a place where you say, oh, the blood sugar is higher than I want, right? We're maybe heading toward a pre-diabetes, diabetes zone, okay? Putting sugar into the body, very literally, is going to raise sugar in the blood. Like, I just hope everybody sees this connection. We want sugar in the blood lower. Got to get the sugar out of the diet. And so as much whole food, natural, unprocessed eating as possible. We want to take anything that is actual sugar in the body and then turn it into something like this as much as possible. If we are eating like this, look, I chose this image because it has protein and veggie, right? And this is the type of thing that we want to be eating. If we are trying to decrease sugar coming into the body, as the sugar is lowering, is there less calories with that? Yeah, and yes, and maybe, and probably, but more important than that is look at the calories that we are coming here. Okay, there's protein here. There's some fat in here in the fish and the olive oil that the vegetables are cooked in. There's protein in the fish. And then there are carbohydrates, which are locked in a giant fiber matrix, going to be released very slowly. And so the impact, even for the same amount of calories that we put in our body from something like this, look what would typically be on this plate. Rice, okay, potato, those are not there, okay? So we're trying to remove this. What I would tell people, have a second piece of fish. If you're really stuck in a stubborn place, have a second piece of fish, more veggies, before you add in the rice and other simple carbs, especially minute rice, really, very, very fiber poor. So the point of that, though, does it change how many calories you get? That's why I said maybe, because maybe I say have the extra vegetables. But when you have an asparagus, or put whatever veggie you want on here, carrots or broccoli or Brussels sprouts or whatever, beans, and that's released very slowly, it's going to keep our insulin level much less. Insulin is the controller that is determining whether we have access to the fat cells, okay? And so this is what I really want to help us think about. Stubborn weight loss, pre-diabetes zone, sugar too high. This is like the same issue, and this is the big risk for all of us and why we are trying to stay on our track. So if you have been frustrated in a space, you say, okay, I can't get rid of this weight. Do you see changes in it? Are there fluctuations? This is the thing. Remember, on the very first level of weight, we see fluid shifting. So 2, 3, 4 pounds can shift around because of water weight. How much sodium are we retaining? And different things like this, which are also hormonally controlled. And then beyond that, as we start pushing into it, if you have moved beyond those sort of zones, then you see, okay, you're interacting already with the hormonal system and with insulin. Okay. Now I want to say, what if you're already eating like this? So we can spend as much time as anyone wants. How do we change our diet, get everything out? How do we start building meals around something like this, which are variations that I say, even if you're eating 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, a variation of this for breakfast could be like an omelet, could be like a couple eggs where you saute up some mushrooms and peppers with it, then you're getting in a zone, protein, veggie sort of thing. But, everything that is breakfast in so many ways, everything, okay? Not the sausage, not the eggs, not the real low-carb focused stuff. If you're going to have a breakfast and you're trying to get rid of some stubborn weight, then you want to go really low-carb, in my experience. The English muffins, the toast, the bagels, waffles, pancakes, all this sort of stuff are the things, especially when you're using, unbleached white flour and then loading it with syrup and things like this. And my increasing nemesis, artificial butter spreads that are often made out of these, seed oils and hydrogenated oils and stuff like that. All that has to get out. Unnatural fats, very, very bad in my opinion. We have had some discussion on the channel when I am making waffles for the family. I have a keto waffle recipe, which you can just look up, keto waffles. And, there is a way to kind of bridge the zone. Remember, I always like to say perfection is not required. And so that mainly involves replacing the white flour with nut flour. And increasing the amount of eggs in it. And so when you do that, you can have a really nice waffle, absolutely, but very much less carbohydrates in it. And then you try, ideally, maybe put some jam on it, right? And not so much syrup. But either way, it's going to head into a space. You're naming all my favorites. Yeah. This is really something to think about, and I'm not saying you can never have anything like that again, but the difference between what I have on the thing, I'm not saying salmon for breakfast, but this as an idea, a protein veggie becomes a core meal, and the pancakes and the things become a treat or whatever, but you realize that this is the space that I'm saying for the food. That, like, if you're in a stubborn place, we say, okay, we just have to accept the reality of it. The body is stuck, we can say that, in a hormonal place. And insulin is the place where it's usually stuck, and we're going to get to some deep strategies on how to approach it. So these are the things to reflect on. favorite foods I love. I want people to have them. I also want people to have the success that they want. And I can tell you, I'm not selling you really anything. I'm kind of selling you one thing at the end, and I have full disclosure on it. But fasting is free, okay? And I'm giving you dietary perspectives on what affects our insulin. And insulin is the controller that allows access to the fat cell. And so if we're sitting in this space, we say prediabetes, sugar's higher than we want. It's not getting into the cell. The first job of insulin is to help blood sugar flow into the cell. In the ideal scenario, look what is happening in the ideal scenario in the body. Food comes in, sugar comes in, and it's there. And, we are moving. Heart is always beating. It needs energy. Brain is always chugging along. And that sugar would come in at such a perfect level from the diet that it would just be used up in our process. And the blood sugar wouldn't even change that much. You see, that would be ideal, right? When that's not happening, when there's more sugar than we need, insulin is there. And then because sugar is dangerous and it will jam that into, let's be nice, let's be gentle. Help it gently get into the cell where it can be safely managed. This is what we want. Now, insulin resistance, this is how we're getting to the key of all these things. When the insulin, the cell is overloaded by too much insulin, cell is full of sugar already. You can think about it starting to put up a force field. And a cell says, I don't need any, it's trying to be nice and share, so give it to somebody else, but then nobody needs it. And this is why the blood sugar starts to rise. And then when the blood sugar is higher, and now the insulin is resistant, insulin is a blocker to the access to body fat. And so when the insulin can't do its job because cells are insulin resistant, then you can't get at the body fat. This is basically very hard to do. This is what can set us up for unstable blood sugar. And it's what the path looks like of how we develop type 2 diabetes. And so if we want to unravel that, we want to go backwards on that whole process, we have to create an environment where the blood sugar is lower so that the insulin is lower, so that the insulin resistance drops, so that the process can function naturally. So that because the insulin resistance dropping and the insulin level dropping is the signal to the body that says, let's open up the space for the body fat, okay? Then instead of running off the sugar, then we can be running off of the energy storage like we want, because it should be a flow. So now somebody says, okay, Dr. Z, I'm already eating like this. Someone says, I'm like keto level. And let's take the most difficult example. Someone has switched fully keto. They're eating meals like this, protein and carbohydrates, let's say even twice a day. Let's say I'm even dialing in on the fasting space too, and still the system is stuck. Okay, so we try to make this. So let's move beyond calories. I say here is a little checklist of some things to start doing if you're in a space. Hey, we want to get this unstuck. We want to head far away from these things. So the first thing I put on here, check a fasting insulin level. Like, have you ever done it? And these are things, I'm not managing this for anybody. Nobody gonna, I'm just giving you an educational perspective. You take the things to your doctor. Get a fasting insulin level checked, because don't you wonder what it is? Like, if insulin is really the linchpin of the entire operation, you see, we can get some data on it and know, like, what actually is the insulin level. And this is an interesting thing to track. If you have good insurance coverage, you check it at some point. You can also go to a private lab. Different labs, I've priced it out, range from $20 to $50 to get a fasting insulin level checked. But all of a sudden, you can get a huge amount of information, including picking up other types of diabetes that are not type 2 that could be developing. And I've been working with some clients on this lately, whereas like people say, oh, you have type 2 diabetes, but what if you come into a space where the fasting insulin level is very low? There are other types of like late onset autoimmune diabetes that you could miss if you're really struggling in a space with blood sugar, other things. So check a fasting insulin level. What if you're in a space, you're working on all these things, you say, I'm changing my diet, I'm trying to exercise, I'm bringing some fasting processes into my life. Now, if you have something to say, is insulin resistance really a root cause that is keeping you stuck? Now we have some data on it and we can compare. One of the most frustrating things, tell me if you think this is true, you're going along on a weight loss process, if you're not seeing things change, you say, but what are we doing? How do we move? All of a sudden, what if you saw differential changes in the insulin resistance that are improving? I like to describe the situation that we're trying to do in a weight loss space, unlocking the puzzle, right? Unlocking the cell. The energy is in the body, guaranteed, right? If you have extra energy in the body, that's stored body fat, body is saving it and it knows it's there. So we are trying to unlock the environment that we are building that will, because there's no control panel, right? We can't log into the body and just hit Control-Alt-Delete and it's gone, right? So we have to create the environment to do it. All of a sudden, if you can get into the physiology of the body, you can start to see what the body is thinking and doing, and we can start to change, how we make decisions, how we work through the process. Okay, fasting insulin level, we're in there and we can see it, maybe see it changing. Even if the scale isn't changing, if we can see that number changing, then we can see that we're making progress. And that can be very encouraging. Changes, even without the scale changes, can let you know, oh, we are getting closer. Insulin level was here and now it's coming down. And we can see that this is having an impact. That can be really positive. And some data that I'm sure any doctor, if they were really to start to get into it with you, if you come in, I would think, let me know your experience with it. You start bringing in some fasting insulin levels and showing a doctor like, hey, here's what I'm doing. I think they would be very interested in it, I'm very interested in it. So I think it's fun as much as you can, take a situation like this, a struggle, something that is stubborn, and build a process into it that can bring interest and curiosity and try to make it fun. I put in here, start using a CGM and make it a game. All right. Are you familiar with a continuous glucose monitor? I say a continuous glucose monitor, CGM. Okay, great for diabetes, great for managing sugar, great if you are trying to deal with insulin and medications, all that. Okay, but there is so much value in this information just in this space that we're saying, in a weight loss space, in someone is either pre-diabetic or trying to not become pre-diabetic, right? If you can dial in and have this data of what your sugar level is right away, like in real time, right on your phone, it's very powerful. So here is, the readout. Have you seen this? You can get in real time a readout right on your phone from the monitor on your arm, and then you see what your blood sugar is doing in real time. And now this is exact feedback of what's happening. This is how I want people to think about it. In the past, you would just eat a meal and you would not know what is physiologically happening in your body. You'd have to wait 3 months until you go check an A1C and you see, oh, is this interacting here? Or you could see some things, if you checked a fasting insulin level, but nobody ever did. But now all of a sudden, right in your own phone, you can see in real time, okay, I ate the stack of pancakes, and now what is my blood sugar? Like you see on the person's phone, and there's a time, okay, it went up, and you'll see it go back down, and you'll build this tracing, and you can start to see the feedback in real time. So one morning you got up and you had cereal with milk, okay, and a bagel and whatever, okay, and so you say there's a bunch of carbs here, and you see what did this do to the sugar level? Because now that sugar level, is a surrogate for what the body is going to be doing with insulin. And the insulin is going to be controlling how much access you have to the body fat. Now you can see it. Now the next morning you got up and you had your couple eggs with some veggies, okay? And you saw, oh, my blood sugar barely budged, okay? And you see they got the green zones on there. Where to say, okay, is your sugar staying in a green zone? Green zone on the app is mainly for diabetes. They're going to show you a range from about 80 up to 140, and they're going to say, do you want to stay in that zone? And what we want to do to turn that into our weight loss zone is to say, how low can we keep that? We're going to keep it in the safe zone. We're not going to let it drop below 80. But if we're keeping it down there in that normal zone, 80 to 100, and all the time, you know that your insulin level is going to be staying so low. And the more we are keeping our insulin level in a low zone, like, we know that this is going to be helping us to lose weight. And so this is a tool that can help us to physiologically see this issue, basically getting into the hormonal structure of the body and help us to unwind it. I think it's an incredible technology. I've described it as probably the most revolutionary technology because out of all of the things that are happening in society, the incredible medical developments, incredible chemotherapies and biologic, treatments, all these things, a CGM is the type of thing that you can bring right into your life before you have some sort of catastrophic illness, that by using it as a tool, that you can help to keep yourself in optimal metabolic shape. That I like to say it's a compass. I take out my little rock that I was talking about, as a compass, metaphorically, say this is what a CGM can be like. Like, which way do we go here, Think of using the information this way. You're in a space, but you can see in real time, like, you know what, my blood sugar is higher here. Before we ate. Okay, this can help you really dial into the thinking of what you're going to be doing. Say, I am on a weight loss path. I am trying to use energy in my body. And look, the blood sugar is higher here than it has been in the past. Well, what is blood sugar in the body? It's food that you already ate that the body has not processed properly yet, right? That it hasn't had an opportunity to use. And because, especially if you're, heading out toward 2 hours past the last time you ate, if your blood sugar is still higher in the zone, you say, that's just telling you that insulin resistance is there. Because within 2 hours after a normal meal, the physiology of the body should be, hey, all that extra sugar should be back away. And so if you're seeing the sugar is still, let's say it's 110. Let's say it's been 3 hours since you eat and your blood sugar is 110. You say, okay, we're not quite down into the perfect normal zone here. Some amount of insulin resistance presumably is happening, keeping that, and that energy is there. So think of the thought process. You know what? I can do my body a favor here. Instead of eating this next meal, I can just use this energy that is here. It is floating right in the blood for me to use. And then you can watch it come down. And the process of doing that, instead of putting the extra load on the body, more energy to have to process, all of a sudden you see, oh, look, I'm drawing down that account, right? The energy in the bloodstream. And then as we're doing that, okay, then what is happening? Body's like, okay, now we can release other energy. And this is the process. Unlocking it. Getting out of a stubborn, stuck place with more data. Some people say, look, I don't want data. And I think we can have data overload. I want to, in our society, absolutely. Think of the modern landscape of dieting and counting calories. If someone comes into me for a new weight consult, simple fasting clinic, Fitchburg, Wisconsin, telemedicine across Wisconsin, check it out. Look, my initial practice would always be to try to have people do as little monitoring as possible. I was like, look, if you can just take a step back, take a deep breath. How many times are you eating in a day? Okay, 6. Can we go 5, 4, 3? How are you feeling with that? Snacks are cut out. Can we go 3 to 2, right? That's like the core process, bringing in some real fasting space. People needing more power. Can we go 2 to 1? OMAD, start throwing in some 1 meal days. Okay, that's the type of math I like. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then maybe 0. Like, do a fasting day. This is the type of process we would go. No counting calories, no monitors, no nothing, no Excel sheets, no nothing. But we are sitting here in a space then. What if you're doing all these things? You say, I'm doing all the things to the best that I can. Okay. We're getting into the stubborn space. Whereas like, we're going to keep going. More clues. Okay. So nobody feel any pressure to have to buy technology. Nobody say I have to do monitoring that I don't want. But if you are stuck, say, I tell you, there is an answer to it. There is. Okay. And you say, I want to find it out. Okay. It's possible. And this is the thing to be grateful for. We live in an age with actually incredible technology that can help us figure things out, which is something I'm very grateful for. Dr. Z Method, this is my little plug. I said I don't really sell very much, but I'm kind of selling a Dr. Z Method. And I put that in links to all the videos. Natural way to unravel diabetes. Here I put 4 things. It's not a secret. What is the Dr. Z Method? It is all of my best thinking on these topics: food, fitness, fasting, and mindset. These are the things. And then all the other things that I tell you, like the secret things that I'm trying to tell you about, like using a glucose monitor for weight loss and not just diabetes, checking a fasting insulin level, and also ketone level, which is another piece of information that can help us to unlock these things. You can get ketone monitors, and there's something you can get a ketone monitor that will, just check on a finger prick, just like a standard glucose monitor. You can get ketone strips that you can do a urine check on ketones, and then they've got continuous ketone monitors now, so that you don't even have to mess with any of that. When the sugar level is dropping and the insulin level is coming down, and we start to release energy from body fat, that is released, one of the forms, as ketones. So ketones is like the dual fuel vehicle of the body. And if you want to say, am I getting into a fat burning space? Like, are my cells actually releasing this energy? You can check a ketone level and know how robustly that is happening. Now, the surrogate marker, what I call, the poor man's ketone level, is just, are you losing weight or not? Like, you don't really have to know the ketone level in great detail most of the time, although sometimes, as I'm thinking about it, it can be so helpful. But the situation to know on a ketone level, like, are you losing weight consistently? Is this level cutting down? Then okay, there's going to be ketones happening. Absolutely. Want to do some talking through each of these things. Can I bring this up? Yes. Oh, and it even fits. I eat steel-cut oats as a way to lower blood pressure preventatively, but I mix in low-fat, high-protein yogurt and ground flax seeds. Will the yogurt prevent a big glucose spike? So thank you for sharing this comment. This is getting right into some great things to think about, and it's exactly the type of question that the glucose monitor can answer. Because what I would say about this combination of foods is, in the big picture, of course, I say it's a very healthy thing to do. I think steel-cut oats are great. I think the high-protein yogurt and flax seeds, all of this I would put in a very healthy category. But it is the type of thing that might not work, for someone that could be keeping someone stuck in a place, because, it is a lot of carbs, especially with, the oats, not necessarily the yogurt. And then the yogurt is also a thing which I think is a fine thing to eat, but it's another tricky thing because, to me, there can be some gray area. Dairy good, dairy bad, is like something out of all dairy as far as weight loss. I think yogurt is probably the best. And as long as it works for someone, I wouldn't say something about it. But if someone is stuck, so this is the thing we're at, stubborn weight loss. Why is someone stuck? When we're in a stuck place, usually the answer is hormonal. There's some hormonal issue that we are trying to figure out. Dairy, just to put it out there as a hormonal product, is a weight gainer. The whole point of dairy milk is about, make the baby bigger, transmit as much calories and growth hormones to say we got to fatten that little thing up because it's dangerous. We need energy. And so you think what milk actually is. And so just as a product category for someone who's trying to lose weight, dairy's not quite in the ballpark of what people think is going on here. People just look at the macros and they say low carbs, high protein, and they say, shouldn't that be good? It's like, well, maybe, maybe. Now, the steel-cut oats, much better than like your microwave instant oats, okay, is a more fiber, slower release of the carbohydrates, still a lot of carbohydrates though. And so, going back to my initial pictures, the sugar bag versus the salmon with veggies, I put this meal potentially closer to the sugar bag than the salmon with asparagus picture, okay? And preventing the glucose spike, okay, fasting going to prevent that 100%, and then the next level would be, can you have like a low carb meal in replace of that? This is the food part on this first level that we're digging into. And then this is the natural experiment that you can run when you have a glucose monitor. Even if you don't have diabetes, you can start answering this question for yourself, because you say, okay, it's one thing. Say, okay, there's these abstract concepts. I see 100 different people on YouTube. One guy is telling me this, one guy is telling me that, and now you can just answer the question in your physiology, in your body, with all of your unique situations. What actually happens? You got it on your own phone. You say, no misinformation can come here. Like, did I eat a thing and did the sugar go up or did it not? And when you can start seeing it, I just think it's so powerful to be able to see your own levels in real time, and you can start running your own experiments. Okay, in the morning I practiced fasting and my blood sugar did what? And then in the morning I got up and I had my steel-cut oats and yogurts and my blood sugar did what? And then on another day I had 2 eggs with 2 sausage links and my blood sugar did what? And this is the game that you can start to play, and then it'll monitor it all out for you, and you keep a log of what happened, and all of a sudden you can build out, okay, this is physiologically my toolkit of what I want happening, and we can see, what is happening with it. And so what I would say, if you are stuck in a space and you want to know, it's about $50. Different, without diabetes, if you have diabetes, if you can go to your doctor and they can prescribe you a glucose monitor, then your insurance will cover it, okay? If you do not have diabetes, if you are just curious, you can now buy them in the US without a prescription. There are a number of different companies that do it. Stello is the one that I am most familiar with. They're about $50 a monitor. Usually they make you order 2, so $100 gets you 2 monitors, would last a month. And then I tell people, you don't have to use them, every monitor, forever and ever. You could just take one monitor, use it for 2 weeks, like it lasts. You put it on, and you say, hey, I'm going to take 2 weeks, and I'm going to run as many natural experiments as I can and get this data, and then it'll be done. And maybe you save the other monitor for a couple months from now. And now you've got that 2 weeks of data. You see how it is going, and then you have that data, and you work on it. You say, what did I learn from this? How did I see how my body responds? And we kind of go through a few weeks, see how's the scale doing? How are you feeling? How's the energy? And you say, okay, now I want to dial in. Now I use the monitor again, really going. Maybe you're planning for that specific 2 weeks. I'm going to plan some specific meals. I'm going to plan some specific activities, and we're going to start playing the game. That's why I like it. Say, to me, I want to make it fun. Say, I'm going to start playing this game. I'm going to sort this out. And now I've got a tool that can help me to do it. Yes. Yeah. Taking the tools are very powerful. And we don't have, in my experience, we don't have a mindset to take these tools out of the diabetes zone and bring them into the pre-diabetes zone and just the weight zone, which is like the pre-diabetes zone. Because if we can unlock the puzzle at that point, this is what I say, unraveling diabetes, the way to go way upstream is like to keep it ever from forming in the first place. I'd be completely unravel it. And I love that. And so I do. I'm not a good salesperson, I tell you, but I do just want to tell anybody watching, you want to come hang out with me on the Dr. Z method, link in the description. I got very low monthly fee. You come in, I live stream in like a Zoom call, Google call, where we can actually talk face to face, and I can answer your personal questions, in a different thing than just like a educational live stream out to the world. So a lot of the value, so this is what's in this method. Things like I'm telling you about food, fitness, let's talk about next. Obviously, I am like dialed in on fasting space. I call blood sugar burning space. It's just like completely open space. That energy that is right in the body, we can burn it up. And then mindset, here watching, I'm like super keen on developing a strong, kind, thoughtful, gentle mindset with it, because what we want more than anything is we want things to be sustainable. Absolutely. You're in a stuck place, very, very easy to get angry and frustrated and give up in a space like that. The mindset shift I'm trying to show you today, turn the frustration and the things into a curiosity, turn it into a fun experience so that we can just work the process and have enough time really to figure it out. I tell you, I love figuring things out for people, is the big thing of what internal medicine, physician does. We figure stuff out for people. Okay, food we've dialed in on. I want to bring fitness into this space. We talk about fasting, certainly. So fitness is something that I'm trying to make these all F's, okay? Food, fitness, fasting, and what? Free thought. I don't know, the mindset. But fitness, just movement, okay? So when we think in our society, fitness, we think gym, right? And we think going for a workout. And this is fine, and I love it, but in this specific thing that I'm trying to show you is the monitor can help us see fitness as so much more than that. Because like if we go to the gym on some frequency, say it's 3 times a week or even 5, okay, then we have like these moments which are really powerful blood sugar burning spaces, and that's great, and that is great space for resetting insulin and all of this, but then we have the other 9% of the time. And so the thing with fitness that I want to bring into this space, and someone is stuck, is to stop thinking of exercise as a process that I do very intensely, only a few times during the week, and to start bringing more gentle movement into our life. Body doesn't know whether we're in a gym or not. Body just knows whether we're moving or not. And more movement, even at a very low level. I was watching an article the other day where someone had a glucose monitor on, a video, and they just, they started bouncing their leg, up and down, just kind of nervously at a desk, which is not something, that can be annoying, okay? But just as a concept, okay, that's taking energy. Person is stuck at a desk job. They got a glucose monitor on. They're glued to the screen. They got to be typing, but they start moving their calves, moving their legs. They're doing some exercise. They can have a measurable impact on the blood sugar, just sitting there. And so the idea of bringing more movement into the life is something that is so such an underutilized thing. I think we have this mindset that I have this mindset that someone will help me out with our dog, but we'll see. Barking away. We have this idea that fitness has to take place at a gym, that we're not really accomplishing something unless we're hurting almost, that we're like, oh, I really worked out. And what I want to say is something as simple as bouncing your leg up and down at a desk when you have a monitor and you can see that it can actually impact the blood sugar, because every time, every bounce, that calf muscle is squeezing. That takes energy to do. The energy that's in the bloodstream, the sugar that's right there, is what flows in first. And so, of course, you want to take it out of a nervous habit, just getting it and being able to take a walk, just a stroll for 2 minutes to break things up. And you can see, oh, this is something. If you see, oh, like this blood sugar is kind of lingering up, can I go take a walk for even 2 minutes? Doesn't have to be getting to the gym. Some people say, all of our lives can be so busy. I look at my to-do list. We've got all these things to do. If we can take fitness out of the gym and start bringing it into our life, realize, okay, walking is fitness. Even, just doing a couple body weight squats at the desk, if I were to just stand up here and sit down a couple times, I don't even have to stop what I'm doing. If you have a standing desk, there'd be another thing. I like this desk that I have right now is a standing desk that goes up and down. So I can bring it up for a bit, like move around a bit, and then, I can sit down and then to me, it's a battle. Like, how much can I get myself to actually just get this back up? But that is a huge thing. And so using the monitor, this is what I say, if we're in this space, if we're stuck, right? These are the screws to turn, okay? If we're saying, man, I'm trying to dial in on this, well, we're stuck. Probably one of these 4. And you tell me, can you come up with number 5? What is number 5 if I am missing it? But if we are in a stuck space, say the weight is going to move. Say, I've pushed my diet as hard as I can. Okay, well, can we bring more routine movement? If we say maybe fitness is has too much baggage with it, and we don't have to stick with the F. How do I just bring more routine movement? I mean, I'm saying if I'm sitting here just doing this and just kind of stretching out, like all this is taking energy, And I'm just saying, all of it is taking energy, moving the legs, keeping the things going. Beautiful. So this is what I talk about in Dr. Z Method, unraveling diabetes, okay, and bringing it into our space in the simple fasting side. These ideas. Anybody welcome. To me, unraveling diabetes at the root is a weight loss process. I don't really know how to market and connect, all of these things. For a while, I had this as just simple fasting community here, but then I've tried to dial it in on the diabetes specifically. But it's like all the same thinking, you know what I mean? It's all the same thinking. So if you are struggling, if you are in a space to say, I need some more help with it, okay, you take these ideas to your doctor if they can help you. Of course, say, how can you help me dial in on these things? You can take them into the Dr. Z Method with the link here. Maybe you just come in for a month, like I say. Come in for a month. I've got a whole course where I go in through some more detail of thinking of these processes. And then the real value, I think, connecting live, getting all of your questions answered, like face to face, you know what I mean? Okay, those are some thoughts. Blasting sugar. This is what I want to help you do. Blasting sugar in the diet, blasting sugar out of the bloodstream. And then the big concept for this is that this is one of the most powerful things we can do to unlock ourselves out of a stuck place. If we're stuck on a path toward a blood sugar problem, if we're stuck in a place where the weight will not budge, okay, these are the places to dial in on, and the monitor can help you do that. And then some of the specialized labs, like I said, like a fasting insulin level, is the type of thing that can really help us figure out the puzzle, help you and your medical team figure out the puzzle. So share your thoughts in the comments. If you're here on the replay, like I say, throw your questions. They'll come to me, and we have an ongoing discussion about it. Really happy to have ongoing discussions about these things. To me, this is like the root level of health. Okay, when we are here in our health space, we get to root things like sugar and its pernicious nature. This is what can really help us move forward, keeping us from developing problems in the first place, helping us powerfully deal with the issues that we are facing, getting into root levels of health and healing in the body. This is what I really want to be doing. To me, this is like, I'm a primary care doctor, internal medicine physician. When I'm in the clinic, I am always thinking, like, how do we get to the root level this problem that we are dealing with? So many times the root level is solving these sorts of things. Whether that is, high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, the weight problems, blood sugar problems, inflammation, inflammation of all kinds, sugar very inflammatory in the body. So as we are dialing in on all these things, like actually we're getting to such a deep level in the body. Digestive disorders, so many things like acid reflux, gastroparesis, delayed gastric emptying, IBS, you start getting into these sort of spaces, really deeply understanding what is happening in the body, seeing how the body physiologically is responding to the energy that we give it. And you realize that it's a communication. Okay, the body is communicating with itself all the time. It uses hormones to do that. Hormones controlling the energy flow in the body. I just think it's incredible to just these things giving us a little window into the body. It's like peering behind the curtain, seeing what is the body thinking and doing here? How is it interacting with me? We see health as a conversation with the body, and that we are interacting with it. Then we see how dynamic the system is. That when we are feeling stuck, we feel like, oh, this is just how I am. This is how things are. When you start to see the communication with the body, that it is dynamic and interactive, I think it just can change our total mindset. And I hope this has helped to bring that perspective to you a little bit today. Change the mindset, especially if you have felt stuck in a stubborn place. Bring in some new thinking, new ideas, new energy. Turn it into something fun and curious, and an exploration always approached from a loving and joyful fashion. And I think you'll find that good things going to come from that. Good things going to come. Keep the momentum positive, and keep striving after it, especially in a way that I like, nurturing health, never punishing our way to health. That is the big mindset shift that we want. So nice to share these thoughts with you today. Thank you for being here. I will look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a great day, everybody.